Hello and welcome to the third webinar in the series looking at Metrology for software. I'm James Porter and I'm a product manager here at Taylor Hobson. The first two webinars in the series have been looking at an introduction to Metrology for software, followed by a look into the powerful coordinate system that we have available to us. These can both be seen on the Taylor Hobson website. Today's session, we're going to concentrate on analysis in Metrology for software. Please feel free to ask any questions as we go along. I'm going to share my screen with you now. On the screen now is the Metrology for software. The software has been split up into different sections. At the moment, you are seeing the instrument section of the software, denoted by the tab here at the bottom. This is where we can control the instrument's axes as well as take measurements. We've got a 3D CAD image of the instrument that is a live representation of the actual online system. So as I give it a command, for example, to move the column, you can see that the column moves live with the input. Once we've taken a measurement, it gets loaded automatically into the analysis section of the software. And this is where we will be focusing on today. So to look at the workflow, we would position the stylus onto the component. And once we're ready, we would click measure. A measurement name would be given, in this case, part A. A start position of immediate is selected and a measurement length of 5mm. We could then give the measurement a document name, also part A, and when we press OK, the measurement is taken and you can see a live preview being measured and it gets loaded into the analysis. So the architecture of the analysis, we have at the top here a tab that denotes the document name. So we've given this name part A. We've got the measurement that has been loaded into the document, and this also has the name of the measurement on top, part A. On the workflow, this is a history of the analysis steps that we've done to the measurement. At the moment, there is no steps been done. And we have a results manager at the bottom, and this has a full list of all the parameters that we've calculated. And again, at the moment, we've not analysed anything. So if I wanted to do a simple surface finish measurement to this profile, I would firstly click the profile and go to the Studies tab. So please note what we've done here is I've only got two icons visible. All of the other icons are in this drop-down list, and the reason I've done that is to simplify the software. So before we had all of the icons listed in this ribbon, sort of like this, but because I'm not going to use any of these for this session, it is possible to hide them. You do this by right mouse clicking on the ribbon and clicking this customize ribbon, and you would either select or deselect the icons that you'd wish to see. For new users, I think this is a good idea to make it a bit more easier to understand the software. So, if I wanted to do a surface finish analysis, I would click on this icon, parameters table, and this displays a dialog box that has been designed to allow the user to follow a typical analysis procedure. So the first step, we have either primary roughness or waviness options. In this case, I'm going to do a roughness analysis. The next step is to remove form or not. So I'm going to click this and select LS line in this case. The filtering options are the next things to check, and we do this by clicking the drop down list and selecting the one you want. The evaluation length, in this case I'm going to use 5 cutoffs, and then we select the parameter we want to analyse. So for me, I'm going to look at RA. Once we've pressed OK, we have, I'm just going to zoom in. So to zoom in, I would press Control and scroll the mouse, or you've got the ability to do that here with this button. So the result we have is the filtered profile that has been displayed, as well as the analysis settings, such as the filters we can see, and at the bottom we have the parameter displayed there. Looking at the workflow, you can see we've got an additional step at the bottom here that's just been done, which shows that we've done some parameter calculations. In the results manager, it has listed that we've done the RA calculation there. So for this analysis, we can make it even quicker by pre-saving the settings. So if I wanted to do that, I would click the analysis. I could come to the top here and click Save and Apply Settings. If I save settings as, I give it a name, RA setting, and what that does is it saves all of the settings that have been inside this analysis. So next time we measure, it will be even quicker to analyse. So if I go back to instrument view now and do a second measurement, let's call it part B, and document part B. If I press OK now, same as before, we see a live profile being measured as it's measuring, and the new measurement gets loaded into a new document called Part B. So now, if we want to analyse the parameters, we would click the measurement and again click Studies, but this time, instead of clicking the calculator icon, we would click this drop down arrow. Click the setting that we want, and it automatically gets loaded into the document. And you can see as before, the workflow is the same and the results manager is the same. Now, a nice little feature that we've put into the analysis is the ability to show documents side by side. So if I right mouse click one of them and click show side by side, this now allows us to, I'm just going to minimize that work for a second, is to show that we can compare two measurements together. So I've got part A on the left, part B on the right, and this would allow me to compare documents. A nice little feature. If we wanted to return to the default layout, we would click the tab, and then if I drag it across, we will return as normal. But it's a good feature to have, especially if you're comparing different measurements. We can go one step further now. So we've shown the way of saving the analysis settings. We can also create what we call templates. And the template is basically the layout of a document that has all of the analysis settings that you want built into it. I'll demonstrate that for you now. So we can design the layout to look how we want. So in this case, I'm going to remove the first profile. I do not want it. And we can reposition this dialog. So I can click and drag to position it. I can make it a bit bigger if I wish. For example, like that. And if I'm happy with the layout of this, I can save this now as a template. So I would go File, save the document as, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to call it Surface Finish. So if I save that now, we've now got a template saved, ready to use. So I'm going to just close both of these tabs, and this time, if I go to the measurement, I would click Go. I'm going to give it a different name now, so Part C. I'm going to put it into a different document called part C, and now I can browse for a template. So if I do this, this opens up the Windows Explorer. I can go to my location and double click the template I wish to use. It gets loaded into this section here. If I press OK now, a measurement gets conducted, and when the measurement gets loaded into the analysis, you can see now the template has already been applied. And we have free roam of how this looks. What we can do now is, can you see here we've got part C and we've got part C here. If I wanted to add a second measurement into this document, I could do so as well. So if I click Instrument and go back to the measurement, I could re-measure this, so I could call this part C2 and press OK. Note that I've kept that the same, part C, and I'm going to append to the document. So what append means add to. So if I press OK, we're going to add this measurement to the same document. And as you can see now, we've still got part C open, and we've got the first measurement, which is here in the workflow, and we have the second measurement that's here in the workflow. So it's possible to either have multiple documents open, or we can build up one document with multiple measurements. Okay, for the next example, I'm just going to change the measurement. So because this is offline, I've got a program that does that, and we're going to clear the screen. So please note that the measurements I've already taken, if I zoom in to the stylus, so if you click these buttons up here, it will zoom into the stylus and the measurement. I'm going to click clear, and what that does is it just removes all of the pre-existing measurements. I'm just going to use my mouse to zoom out a little bit and drag this in here. And now we're going to measure a different profile. So I'll call this part number 1. I'm going to change the length now to make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to apply measurement. And we're not going to apply a template now. So now we have a different profile, and you can see that being measured now. This gets loaded into the analysis as well. And now we have a profile that has about 3 millimeters of gauge range. So because we're measuring with our PGI Novus that has a 20 millimeter gauge and 0.6 resolution, it is possible to do surface finish and form in the same measurement. So I'm going to demonstrate that now. We've got a nice little feature here called extract area. So if I click the profile now and click extract area, what this allows us to do is to select the region of the measurement that we want to analyze. This can be done by making the curtains bigger or smaller, or we have the option to define a region using these boxes here. In this case, I'm just going to drag the region over here. I can zoom in with my mouse by scrolling, and I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. There. So if I press OK now, I'm going to extract that region of the profile, like so. We can then remove the form, and we're looking at the form error over that region. So please note now that because we've extracted the area, we can see that extraction on this profile. If we come over to this side and look at the workflow, you can see that first of all, we've done the extraction, followed by a form removal. So because the workflow is structured in such a way, it means if I move these curtains to a different location, so for example this bit, you can see that the subsequent profiles have changed. And this is because the workflow is structured like this. So that bit is now looking at the form. If I wanted to again look at surface finish, I could do a similar extraction. This time I'm going to look at surface finish on this top section here. So for example like that. Press OK. And we have the extraction over here. So what you can see is we've got two extraction regions here, and in the workflow you can see we've structured it as well. So the first extraction is here, and then we remove the form. The second extraction is on a separate step. So if I now click on this one, you can see that this is the profile that's highlighted. I'm now going to perform a surface finish analysis using my pre-save setting, and we now have the RA of that profile. We can now tidy this document up by deleting unwanted profiles. So we can do this by either clicking the cross or clicking the delete key on our keyboard. So I'm going to drag this one up a little bit. I don't wish to see the length, so I can remove that by coming in here, deselecting length, and I'm going to just delete this one and drag this one up. So you have full control on how your document looks. Make these a little bit bigger. Okay, so now you can see if I move this curtain here, it changes this residual, and if I make this bigger or smaller, it changes this residual. So if I save that now as another template, so save the document as, I'm going to call it contour profile, and press OK. We can now close that tab. If I measure that profile again, so I'm going to clear, zoom in. I'll zoom into the stylus this time so you can see it measuring. So I'll call this part 2, and this time browse for a template, contour profile. Press OK. You can see now the measurements being live drawn. Gets loaded into the analysis, and the template is automatically applied. The last feature I'm going to show is a little bit of what we did last week, is coordinate system and feeding back into the instrument section. So for this, I'm going to come into contour, and you can see now that we have the view of the profile in contour. We have at the bottom, we have the x-axis, so we start at around 66 millimeters and end at around 86. If I go back into the instrument view and zoom into this profile here, you can see that the profile is 66 and 86. So the position at which we measure on the instrument space is exactly the same as when we look in contour. So this means what we can do is, if I, for example, create a segment here and create an arc here, we can create points anywhere on this profile. I'm going to call this A, call this B, and I can now position my stylus tip anywhere on this profile. So if I wanted to measure the exact region of these intersection points, I found them using the contour analysis. I can then feed that back into the instrument view using this function. You can see now we've got A and B. I'm going to give them a slight different name. I'm going to call these start and finish. If I press OK now, we get the points that have been fed back from the analysis, and I can now position my stylus exactly at those points. So I'm just going to move it up a little bit. I can then go right click and move X and Z. If you can see the red line, that shows the path at which I'm going to move to that point. And it moves exactly onto that point. What this means now is I can go and measure between them points and know exactly what the region I'm going to look over. So before I'm going to measure, I'm just going to contact and then I can measure. I'm going to call it surface finish, and it'll be from point start to point finish. It's going to go into the same document. I'll press OK and we analyze.